Holy frack, we have Katie Sackhoff.
How long were you? You were just.
I was holding that in.
You were ready.
We've been up here for 30
hold that in
minutes
for days.
just trying to prep for your presence. I'm telling you. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank
Yeah,
you for
so
having me,
before
guys.
we get into the questioning, I was told by a friend who's watching on that camera right now to say, all hail the Queen of Nerds. All hail.
Hail, the queen of nerds.
I feel like myself and Sigourney Weaver. I feel like I've got some big shoes to fill, but she's my goal. So.
Right.
You've done it.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We're not worthy.
It's my goal. My dad raised me on science fiction, and my dad was such a huge nerd. And so once I got to a point in my career where I had the luxury of choice, I started choosing things my dad would want to watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's Battlestar Galactica. So.
Well, so before we get into the serious questioning, I have a goofy question. I want to just jump in for the icebreaker.
Yes.
Do you have a toy of yourself at home? And do you play with it? And where is it located?
So I have tons of toys of myself because I do not get for free. I buy one or two of every single thing that
You
comes
don't
out.
get it
This
for
is
free?
blasphemy.
So do we.
That's
Yeah,
not right.
That's not like some of like the Gentle Giants and like they'll send me like some of the really cool stuff. And there's another company that does like Gentle Giant. I'm brain farting right now. That also sends me stuff, which is great. But no, like the Hasbros and all of that stuff I buy.
I'm going to go buy you a toy as soon as we're done with this. I'm just going to toss it at you.
And she will
but
get a toy for free before she leaves.
I know, damn it. But my daughter plays with the Barbie-sized Bo-Katan, and she
Yeah.
calls it Mommy Bo-Katan.
Oh, that's awesome.
that's-
Yeah, it's lost a foot. We glued it back on. It's,
Is it bad that I own that too?
not at all. Do you
Okay,
play
great.
with it?
I'm-
Is it bad that I own two
She
of them?
also plays with and people get so freaked out about this because it's super rare, but the pink pop of Bo-Katan and Grogu, she took those out of the box and plays with those. So,
It's okay. She'll learn. She'll learn.
yeah.
Mama Bo-Katan, that's amazing. Trademark, we need that on a T-shirt.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I actually have two questions. My first question, I'm not gonna go straight to the Mandalorian. I'm gonna go to Riddick.
Okay.
How was it? You've been on Battlestar, so you've been on that kind of like sci-fi, not like, and then space sci-fi, but doing Riddick, that's a whole different kind of new franchise.
Yeah.
How was it going from Battlestar to Riddick? And was it hard, or like, because Riddick was a franchise that's it's almost a cult franchise versus like a big, like Battlestar's Battlestar.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Battlestar.
And what kind of cologne does Vin Diesel wear?
I don't remember. It's been too long ago.
Dang,
But,
your question was way better than mine.
I think the thing about Riddick is there's not a lot of women in that franchise. I mean, there are, especially in the second one. Tandy was amazing. But like in Pitch Black and then my version, I was the only woman. Carrie, I think, was, sadly killed in like the first opening sequence. So, I think that more than just Riddick, having been a fan of the franchise and of Vin, so I was a little nervous about that, and I didn't want to let him down. It was more just like, okay, you're the only woman in this. How do you represent women, but also not feel jarring in the setting? Like, how do you make that realistic? Like, she's the sniper. She's like, she's a tough bitch, And I was hired, and then I kept looking at them hiring other men, and they were like, every guy they hired was bigger than the next. And I was like, oh my God, or the last. And they finally got to Batista, and I was like, I am gonna look so dinky compared to these guys.
You got to bulk up.
I did. I put on 20 pounds.
Oh.
I put on 20 pounds, and was just like thick when I was doing that. And I hated it. I did not feel like myself at all. I couldn't fit in my pants afterwards. I was like, this is awful. And I had to eat so much food. I was eating 12 eggs a day. I was eating peanut butter fudge just to like hold on to the weight of that
Well,
character.
I'm hungry now.
I know. I ate a lot of fudge when I was filming.
My second question is to go back to The Mandalorian. You got to bring your dad on set to The Mandalorian?
I did.
How did that feel, knowing your dad is a big sci-fi nerd, to be like, hey, Dad, you want to go to a Star Wars set?
I think it was like the first time in like a 30-year career that my dad was like, oh, she's successful.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
Yeah.
Every father thinks their kid's successful, and I'm not even a father.
I think so too. Being a mom, I sort of, I think my level of, my acknowledgement of what success looks like in your children is completely different now. Like, I just want my kids happy and healthy. Yeah. To me, that's success. But yeah, I think it was the first movie where, like, I think his socks were blown off, Like, my dad's a builder, and so the first job I ever took him to when I was 18, I was on a show up in Canada, and they built an entire house on a soundstage, and he was walking around kicking walls because he didn't understand how they built the house without the foundation, and that how it all moved, and it was on wheels, and like he was just, and I was like, Dad, you need to stop kicking shit. Like,
I have to pay for that later.
I know, but my dad is like notorious on Facebook, and like, please don't go find my dad because you will inevitably get like spoilers at some point. I know. And so I literally, he is the last person that can and should know anything. I have made him sign fake NDAs before just so he takes it seriously. The one for Disney was like thick, but my husband got to go too, and my husband has not seen anything that I've ever done.
Really?
We met on a show called Another Life, so he saw my work on that, but he's never seen Battlestar. He didn't watch Longmire, so he's never really seen anything. So I think, like, even for him, like, he came to work and was like, holy fuck, my wife is like successful. And like, I think he knew, but I think even for him, he was just like, wow. Like, watching his face and my dad's face sort of like next to each other, I was like, wow, those two men are so proud. Like, it was really cool.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I wanted to touch back on something you mentioned, which was, you're kind of at the point of being able to kind of choose the projects that you want. And you just mentioned Another Life, and your role is Nico. And I remember watching that, and I kind of got the vibe that it was like you were just having fun with that role. And was that for you? Same experience for you, making that?
It was, and that was my goal. I think that television. I grew up on 80s shows, right. 80s and 90s sci-fi and action, where like shit blew up, and you're like, that was cool. And I miss that. I miss that. And so I am drawn toward sci-fi that doesn't make sense. Like I have literally like astrophysicists like come up to me and they're like, well, the science in this did not make sense. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I wanted to see a nervous system pop out of a body and crawl on the floor. Yeah. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so for me, Another Life was always popcorn.
That's exactly what I was going to say. For us,
it was never supposed to make sense. It was not supposed to be a metaphor for the human condition. It was just supposed to be fun.
Yeah, for us as the viewer, that's how it was. And
yeah.
That's why I was asking, because it was what we call popcorn, right?
Yeah, it was. And
fun.
that took the pressure off of me. So I feel like my acting in that was actually like excelled because I didn't take it seriously. I just had fun.
That's awesome.
And it's the reason why I did that movie with Josh Hartnett that just came out, Fight or Flight, in theaters now. Go check it out. Because it reminded me of 80s action, where like in the first 2 minutes of a movie, let's talk about Die Hard. In the first 2 minutes of that movie, you know who he is, you know what the problem is, you know what he's equipped to do, you know what the risks are, and then they just say, and you know who the bad guys are, and you go. That's it.
Right.
Anything you do after that does not have to set up a story. You're just riding.
It's
and
not a
having
12-part
fun.
backstory arc of every individual
She agrees with me that Die
character,
Hard's not a Christmas movie.
No, Die Hard is a Christmas.
Thank you. And you heard it here, and it is settled.
I'm not going there.
As is Gremlins.
Yes.
Gremlins, yes. Gremlins is. Die Hard.
Home Alone, not so much.
No.
Just kidding.
Not at all.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Right, Scruffy.
One of my favorite movies that you were in was Oculus. Can you talk about that and tell us how you got into that?
Mike Flanagan was a Battlestar Galactica fan. And God, I love Mike Flanagan. Super smart horror writer. He writes drama, and it just happens to be scary. He's very good at what he does. His character development in his stories is phenomenal. I see why Stephen King likes him and keeps giving him permission to do things. Oculus came to me, it was an offer. I read the script. In the script, the children are like 6 and 7 years old. And my only question before I took that, when he and I jumped on a Zoom, was, I don't know if I can strangle a 6-year-old on camera. And he was like, it's okay, we've hired 13 and 14-year-olds. And I was like, oh, praise Jesus. Like, and
teenagers are.
I had a safe word. Teenagers are easy to strangle.
Right?
It's fine.
Yes.
We had a safe word. We had that was my only concern, because my character is, when she goes bad and gets possessed, she goes like demonic, and like there's a lot of that I felt out of control with, that I just sort of really, and Mike let me do sort of whatever I wanted, and I was really just like really into the violence of her, and that's when she tries to kill her kids, and I didn't want to have to worry about the kids' safety. Because I didn't want to have to be taken out of that as a character. I mean, granted, at the end of the day, obviously, if I'm hurting a child, I would know, like,
Right.
and I would have been able to not do that. I have self-awareness, of course, but I think having them be older made that much easier for myself. And I don't know, maybe I'll work with Mike Flanagan again someday.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is that one of the 3 NDAs you can't talk about?
There are 3.
There are 3. Speaking of which, where's Jeff? We need to find Jeff.
Well,
There may actually be 4 right now. I think there's 4 NDAs.
Wow.
well, we're coming to a close. If I could just ask one more question, it's more of a personal question. Being that you're such a family person, and we all know that by your social media, you keep your family close. How do you keep your family close and have such an illustrious career that you have?
My husband is the most supportive, selfless person I've ever met. After we had children, he made the decision to stay home so I could continue to live my dream, and he put his on the back burner. And so, you know, I'm just, sorry, I'm like crying.
No,
no.
go for it.
Sounds like a great man.
He's such a selfless human being.
Where can we find one?
Right?
Yeah. We all need a Robin in our
No,
life.
he's amazing. I'm so proud of him because he is literally the best dad I've ever seen. I've ever seen. And obviously I'm biased, but you know, he's raising our children, and I mean, obviously I'm there, you guys.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I took the last year off so I could be home as well, and you know, I took a year off with my daughter. I made a choice to not work for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
But I'm still working, you know, I'm
Yeah.
doing the
Right.
podcast,
Yeah.
I'm going to conventions, I'm working, and so his support is the only reason I'm allowed to continue to do that.
Well, it's very obvious on your social media that you're so close to your family, and you have a huge inspiration on people out there who want to do those careers, but also you show how well you are with your family, which, you know, is a good positive impact on the community. So especially the nerd community.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we see it, and that's why I had to ask about it. So
Yeah.
Speaking of the nerd, I have one more question.
you're
Yeah.
gonna have to wrap it up. Bro.
You've been in a lot of franchises. Is there a franchise that you would love to be in?
Oh my God, you guys are so many.
Like you're like, oh,
I mean, like Star Trek is a given. It's there. It's like I grew up thinking I could marry Captain Kirk. I didn't realize it was reruns. I didn't realize he's like old. God, I love Bill. And I love the Alien franchise. Sigourney was like a huge
I was hoping
thing.
you were going to say aliens. That's why I asked the question.
But like, fucking John Wick. Like I would.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
No.
Yes.
Love that.
Please,
heard it
please
here.
be one of the
Please.
NDAs. Be John Wick.
Yeah, right?
I would love that too. Huge Keanu fan, not only like of his career, but of who he is as a human being. He is a wonderful, wonderful
You'd be a
man.
badass,
And he is truly like leaving the world a better place. So, yeah.
Well, so, you know, just speaking for me and Scruffy, we hope you switch from Star Trek and go to Orville, because we're huge
Yes.
fans of Orville.
I
But
am a big fan of Seth. He's pretty talented.
oh yeah, so
Yeah.
but you know, we have to wrap it up. We know you have to get back to your table. We want to thank you so much for joining us on this table. It is truly an honor just to be in your presence. And everybody out there, there's still time. Come on down. We still have the rest of the day.
Yep.
Come to Katie Sackhoff's table. Get her autograph. Get a good
photo.
story. She's so personable, such an amazing person. Thank you so much
Oh, it's
again
my
for
pleasure.
being on this table.
Yes.
Come on down. We'll see you on the floor.
Thanks, guys. Bye, everybody.